Hey, here we go. And today we talk to a guest on a subject that's very near and dear to my heart and I got a lot of passion for. But we're going to get into that in a few minutes after I throw a few things your way. Liv Rishi, these guys make high quality CBD product. And I've been using these guys for years and I would never endorse anything that I don't love and benefit from daily, which I do with these guys. Jump over livrishi.com. Use the code word TABLE50, and you're looking at 50% off your entire order. Showing you some love for showing us some love. And they got a bunch of new product, vanilla bean, and they also have a beard balm. So jump over there, livrishi.com. They did some great things with their website. Looks beautiful. Speaking of websites, you want to check mine out. Would love for you to jump over. waltzkitchentable.com lets you know everything and anything you need to know about the show. And right underneath the video on the front page, my smiling mug, you can sign up for the newsletter. It's a super lighthearted thing I put out about once a month. So if you want a little sunshine in your inbox about once a month, hit me up. Would love to hear from you. And you want anything to know, great way to get a hold of me, waltzkitchentable.com. Now, on to this show. Welcome to Walt's Kitchen Table, where I feature captivating stories from fascinating people. Jared doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk. I love the fitness industry for many reasons, and it has many faults, just like every other industry out there. I wanted to have somebody on the show that talks more in depth and really knows what they're talking about and has a passion for it. And Jared definitely has all of those traits. He's not just a knucklehead like me that walks in the gym and throws a bunch of shit around until I'm tired and then leave. And I eat good most of the time, but I will not say no to a chocolate chip cookie or some Ben & Jerry's. But we get into all of that. And Jared, again, I just can't say enough about it. I had a great time. And we don't even fucking scratch the surface of this dude's knowledge and passion. So I'll have him back on later to get a little more in-depth on some stuff, but it was just fun sitting around bullshitting with him. And this episode is kind of heavy-handed with the fitness industry and lifting. So just to give you a heads up on that, but don't let that derail you. Jared's a great guy, and all this stuff, you can get a hold of him in the show notes. And his story about ice baths and breath holds. Ooh, we're going to get into that, but I'm going to let him tell you all about it. Let's get to it. All right, man. Well, thanks for jumping in, dude. And whatever you say now is going to be on the internet. So don't talk too much shit about Rishi.
I'll be sure.
He's a good dude, man. I met that guy. Oh, I met that guy a long time ago. When I had the video company, he hired us to make some commercials and stuff with some other products that he had.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got this CBD, man. And I was like, fuck, dude, I'll try it. I'm always kicking the shit out of myself. He's like, oh, yeah, it'll help your joints and stuff. At that time, he only had the rub.
Okay, yeah.
Rishi rub. Mm-hmm. And prior to that, I was using Tiger Balm.
Yeah.
Right? That's classic.
Yeah, classic time. The smell of it, you immediately, you get that waft of cinnamon. It's like...
Yeah, you walk into the hockey locker room, and you're like...
Yeah.
I just walked into a Chinese whorehouse. But he goes, try this for your joints and this, that, and the other. And I said, all right, dude. And it works. You know, a little hack that I do, like, say, my knee from a motorcycle accident gets fucked up once in a while.
Yeah.
And I'll rub some of that on there, and then I put one of those elastic knee braces on it.
Oh, yeah. Like a little bit of compression on there.
Right. And then keeps the heat in too, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Oh, God, dude, that stuff is amazing.
Oh, yeah, I love it. All throughout college athletics and stuff, I was always using like topical CBD and stuff. And it's just it's not the make or break, but having that as like a tool in your arsenal to be able to use whenever you need it and stuff, like, oh my God, it's a lifesaver sometimes.
Well, shit. And even if it's even half of it is, what's the word there when it's a fake pill?
Oh, placebo effect.
Placebo.
Yeah, who cares? I always say to people, placebo effect matters a lot if you're making like a clinical, prescription for someone. You need to be like evidence and research based. But for the individual, who gives a shit if it's placebo effect or not? It's working. So like the mechanism for the individual is much less important. unless you're like, a practitioner, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Come on, dude. Everybody on Facebook's a practitioner. Did you know that?
Oh my God. I can't, dude, it's like, I'll sometimes, some of my buddies back from university will like send me articles or send me like pictures from like people posting stuff and making these claims. And it's just, I shouldn't get angry. I shouldn't get riled up. I immediately hit like a 10. I'm red faced. I'm yelling at my phone. I'm like, it gets me every time.
Oh, dude. It's fucking crazy. I just tell people the classic thing. There's no shortcut. Just you gotta do the fucking work.
100%. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. You could look at like world's strongest men, like guys like Hafthor, who holds like the world record for deadlift right now and stuff.
Right.
And there'll be people commenting on the video being like, shit rounded back form, like learn how to lift better. And you're like, what is it? What like they have to be kidding. Like, you know what I mean? And like, you can't take it serious, but some people are serious about it. And
so what I would like to do with that, especially with World's Strongest Man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When I first started watching it, I'm a big fan of those guys. They're just fucking mountains of dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Guys you have no idea. It's like watching pro football, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea how big these people are until you're like standing next to them. You're like, what the fuck is that?
It's got to be hulkish.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? So I am guilty of it myself. When I first started watching World's Strongest Man, of course, I was way younger and cocky, and I was bigger and fucking nowhere near as strong as I am now, which is kind of fun. We'll get into that, but I'm like, fuck, that ain't nothing. What the fuck? Come on, man, you can do that. And then I was like, after a while, I checked my ego and I was like, wait a minute, dude. They're pulling a bus. And I just tried to push my car across a parking lot. But you ever hear that comedian? He talks about a pink lane in the Olympics. You ever hear that?
No, I don't think I have.
So I would love to apply this to strongman. I would so love to see this. So his theory in the Olympics, like in the 800-meter run, dash, whatever they call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have a pink lane that they just randomly pull somebody out of the crowd and put
and have a random dude run it
with the same time, like he or she would get in the starting rack with them, and like the gun would go off and they would run with the other people. And it's like, just to give you a little bit of taste how fast these fucking people are.
Yeah. They used to do something similar at baseball games called, it was a guy called like the Freeze, and you would dress up in a costume and they would pick a fan out of the stadium and they'd have him trying to run the bases. And this dude who was dressed up as like the Freeze would give them like an absurd head start. And this was like a, professional caliber sprinter. And he would just hawk them down. And you would see this person with a huge, and they'd be like checking over their shoulder. And this guy in like full like costume is just chasing them down. It's hilarious.
So with World's Strongest Man, I would love for like, especially somebody, they all have their own personalities, right? But Robert, what the hell is that guy's name? Oberst.
Yeah.
Have him deadlift like 800 pounds and right next to somebody like me and you that is pulling what?
5, 6.
Right? And he's like, urch, 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 urch. And you're like,
and we're not any chumps in the weight room ourselves either. You know what I mean? Like we're not exactly general population weightlifters.
That's funny. I was just thinking about that this morning. I left the gym this morning. I'm like, there's got to be a top percentage, not to brag, but the amount that I work out and the amount of weight that I move in a velocity. Like I don't move 1,000 pounds at a time, but I'll do like 4 exercises and they're 300-400 pounds a piece. And I go 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 and just keep going and keep going. So I'm doing it with speed as well. Right. So I'm not like lifting 300 pounds, setting it down, taking a break, look at my fucking Instagram for a minute and a half. And
no, you're on a timetable.
Yeah. So it's like, I do the one exercise, I walk over, do the next one, I walk over, do the next one, I do 4 at a time, and then I start all over. I'll do 3 sets of those, go to the next one, right?
Yep.
And I got thinking about that this morning. I was like, man, I got to be in the at least top percentage of people that put this kind of effort.
Yeah, and there's metrics for like your weight training levels based off of like your age and your max lifts for all different lifts. So you can actually they extrapolate it into like beginner, intermediate, advanced, and elite, and you can actually see based off of your either current or estimated 1 rep maxes where you fall against like, you know, population wide amount of people.
Sure. Well, the elite, I'm nowhere near that, dude.
You would be surprised. My deadlift falls into there. Everything else is intermediate, and then like everything else is advanced, and then my bench is intermediate because it's dog shit. But
what's your deadlift at now?
585.
Oh, nice, dude. That ain't chump change.
I'm happy with. I mean, by saying I'm happy with it, I mean I like hate myself for it because. Obviously, I want the 600-pound deadlift, and it was like it haunted me. I did it last summer was the last like peaking block where I did like 4 months of a deadlift cycle, and at the end of it, I hit 585, and I had one more week, and I had planned my peak all wrong, and I should have gone for 600 the same day that I did 585, but I was like, nope, I'm gonna follow the progression. I'll do it next week, and I didn't. And then I was in season, and I didn't have time to like train it or put that intensity into it anymore, and I missed the boat on it.
And then do you how tall are you?
6'3".
Oh, okay, so you got a little bit of a pull there, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, deadlift. I'm not gonna lie, my levers are pretty solid for deadlift. I have much worse levers for like bench and squat than I do with deadlift. I have longish arms, so it balances out.
Yeah, I was gonna say balance out.
Yeah.
Not to what was it? I don't know. The days all run together, dude. So
today's Wednesday.
Yeah, but last week I hit 695.
Oh shit! Wow. Okay. Do you pull conventional?
No, I use a hex bar because of my.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, because of my back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can get way more upright torso positioning. I always say to people, hex bar, so like hex bar, trap bar, whatever people know it as.
Right.
That form of deadlifting it's still a deadlift. You're pulling the weight dead off the floor, but it's a squat pattern. It's like a reverse squat pattern. The way that your torso sits, the way that your muscles engage, it's very similar to a squat.
Oh, okay. So, and the one guy goes, yeah, but this is like a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. He's like, that's cheating because that's a hex bar. I go, it's still fucking 600 pounds, dude.
What are you talking about? Like who is this guy?
And I go, can you lift it? He goes, no. I go, shut the fuck up then.
You're like, then move along. Like,
well, this is going back to what we were talking about the pink lane.
Yeah.
You know, and and another time, guy said the same thing. I stepped out of the hex bar. I go, you're up, bro.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and then
work in. You're like, work in. I got time. Yeah, I'd be happy if you worked in.
Yeah. And then what I like to do, obviously, it's not the same. I was going to ask you about this because they call it the fucking pit gym. It's a rack. It's obviously
the pit jam. Is that like a football jammer kind of thing?
No. I'm sorry. They call Pit Shark is the brand.
Oh, belt squat.
Yeah.
I've used the Pit Shark before actually. That specific belt. I've used a lot of belt squats, but I know that one.
Okay, so not the belt. I put a close grip handle on it.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And then pull it like that, and then I'll do a shoulder shrug at the.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was at almost 900 pounds.
No way.
That was fucking heavy, bro. I felt that the next day.
Jeez.
But I did, that wasn't one max, dude. I did 3 sets of like 4 and 5. Yeah. And I was like, that's when I walked.
Taxing.
And then like I would go over, do some push-ups, and then I did some calf raises. Then I would do some pull-ups, and then I would come over and do that again. And then I would repeat, right?
Yeah.
And that's the day I walked out, and I was like, fuck, dude, I got to be, man, my percentage, dude, I got to be up there.
Most people can't even understand that. Like, most people, recently, I think there was like a 1,200-pound squat a week or two ago that just went down, and
Okay.
you know, I'm looking at the video, I'm thinking about it, and it's like I couldn't even do a walk. I mean, granted, the walkout, like you're not walking out; it's a monolift at that point. But like the idea of unracking that weight on my spine, I can't imagine.
No, and
I just can't imagine that amount of like vertical compression on my like.
Well,
you just can't relate.
right. And the other thing too is that's like I'm passionate about certain exercises, right? I love there's some things that I just fucking love doing in the gym. Yeah. That dude that did that was like a goal and what he worked for, and that's what he went after. And God bless, dude. God bless. Yeah. Have it. Not me? Nope. Good, thanks. But I gotta give him kudos, man. The amount of work that he had to do to get to that point. And that's just not in the gym, dude. That's in the kitchen. That's saying no to a pint of Ben and Jerry's, which I can't do. So,
well, yeah, and you also know, so on these days when you're pulling, 600 to 800 pounds, depending on what exercise, the amount that just fries your energy and your focus, and you're just like fatigued for the rest of the day. Like, I know you mentioned that you lift typically in the mornings and stuff, and like the amount of like, when you're handling that much weight, especially if it's on the spine, so especially like if it's loaded on the spine, the amount of fatigue that puts on your body, people don't understand. And it's like, oh yeah, you only worked out for whatever amount of time, and it's like you're out of the gym the rest. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like you smash one of these lifts or something, I'm like, it can be days before your central nervous system feels like back to normal and you're back at it.
Yeah, because I woke up the next day, and then like halfway through the next day, I was like, fuck, dude, I still feel that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, dude, though, pre-workout helps, man.
Oh yeah, big time. You do caffeine or non-stimulant?
No, caffeine. Come on.
Oh, yeah. I always say if you're looking at like strength training, if your goals are like lifting big numbers, like trying to increase your strength, like primarily training like your central nervous system, always go stim, or almost always go stim. So like I typically recommend like caffeinating for that. If your goal is more like hypertrophy or you're in like a rehabilitation state, then go like non-stim, like pump-based type pre-workouts and stuff.
Okay, hold on a second. So let back that up.
Yeah.
So my workouts are usually, on the heavier side. And again, I do multiple stuff because I got like 45 minutes, and then I'll do like a half an hour cardio.
Nice.
And which is a little less than half an hour. What I usually do is walk at a pretty fast pace for a mile.
I love that. Yeah.
And then I go sit in a sauna, which this morning.
Yeah.
218 degrees.
218? Where's your sauna?
At the gym.
And it's at 218.
So I walked in there and I walked in there. I was like, and nobody was in there, right? So
really?
I was like, all right, whatever, dude. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, fucking. And I got the picture to show it. So
218. I'm used to like 190 in the sauna.
That's fine. Dude, I made 22 minutes.
22 at that. I doubt I could do it. I think my record at 190 degrees was like just over 40 minutes.
Oh yeah.
But I was by myself and I was like getting paranoid. If someone else was there, maybe it would have been a different story. But you know when you get to those last like 3 to 5 minutes of the sauna and you start just like you keep changing your posture, you're leaning forward, you're leaning back, you can't get you're like panicking, you keep like that's something you can't explain to there is so much like internal panic when you start getting to the end of that time and you're like I feel like I'm dying right now.
Well, the other thing too is I set a timer, right? And
so you gotta hit it.
Of course my phone is outside the sauna because there's no way your phone's going to make it that long at that heat, right? So I'll set a timer and I play music or a podcast or a book or something, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh shit. Oh, man, it's got to almost be time.
Yeah.
And I said for 25 minutes, I'm like, dude, it's almost got to be time. And like you said, you go through these stages.
Oh yeah.
It's like it's like I quit drinking, years and years ago, and it's like going through that in 20 minutes. It's like denial. And you're like, God, I can do it. You can do it, man. You can do it. Fuck this. Oh, man, is it really worth it? Oh, God, why am I doing this to myself?
And then you'll be like, I should just check the time. You're like, it'll be like, I should just check it. Like, just to know, just to make sure the alarm didn't turn off. Like, because it's definitely been like, just to make sure it's still counting. But really what you want is just that like quick breeze of cool air when you stick your head outside the door. You just need something.
Yep. So I just like, I'm sticking this out. And then I was like, I can't, man. Holy Christ. I got to go. 22 minutes, right? So I get my phone and the maintenance guy's looking at me. And I was like, hey, man, you good? And he goes, are you done? And I go, yeah. Why? What's up? He goes, I crank it up really high for a little bit. So then when I go in there, I clean it and it works better for me, to clean it and that kind of thing. I go, oh, fuck, dude.
That explains why it's so, I've literally never heard of a sauna getting that hot at like like a commercial gym or something.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to say that was the maintenance guy cranked it up. And he goes, I figured you weren't going to be in there that long.
You know what I started doing? A pretty like neat thing that, it's a little tedious or whatever, but I picked up a scale and I bring a scale with me when I go to the sauna or if it's at the gym, and I'll weigh myself like naked, dry weight before I get in the sauna. And then I'll completely towel off all the moisture and weigh again after to track like empirically fluid loss with it.
Sure.
And I can determine like, you do it a couple of times at like certain temperatures for durations. And I just keep like a spreadsheet. So I know if I'm in the sauna at this temperature for this amount of time, approximately I'm sweating out this amount of water. And it just gives me a mental idea of like how much water I really need to be rehydrating with.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. I don't know. I get pretty neurotic with training, so numbers always help.
I was going to say, dude, I'm talking to the right guy. God, I have never got into macros, and I never got into that, dude. When I was really, really into it, and as big as I was in my late 20s, it was old school stuff, man. You ate rice and chicken. Yeah. And you drank water all day, but you ate like 7,000 calories of rice and chicken, and you're just like, ugh.
Well, that's what people miss nowadays. They get so wrapped up in macros, and I'm not downplaying the important role of macros. But if your goal is size, calories are king. And people obsess over, am I having enough like protein or like enough carbs or like where's my fat at? And it's like, stop. I'm like, you're not gaining weight. They're like, yeah, not gaining any weight. I eat a ton. I'm like, eat more. If you're not gaining weight, you're not eating a ton. You're not eating enough. Like that comes first. Once you're eating enough to put on weight, then let's talk about macros. But if your goal is to put on size, you just gotta eat.
Eat a bunch of eat. Don't eat 15 Snickers bars a day.
No, but even that would put on weight. Mm-hmm. Even that's going to be better than if you're not eating enough calories. If that's your goal,
So this is I love this story, dude. I used to spend some time in Maui. My ex-wife, her family had, we would go to Maui every year.
Okay, nice.
And we, for many, many years, we'd go to hotels, right? We'd stay there for 2 weeks because when you travel over there, a week is kind of...
Yeah, it flies by probably.
So we'd spend time in hotels. So I would just use the hotel gym, right? And I would just maintain. I was like, all right, here, I just, mentally. Because, dude, a long time ago, I realized that it's up here for me. All the physical stuff, I don't give a shit about any of that. It just keeps me, it just feels good, man. So anyway.
Totally.
So then Airbnb came around.
Yeah.
So my ex-wife's like, we're going to stay at this house instead of the hotel because it's cheaper. And I was like, where the fuck's the gym? I was like, there's got to be like a local gym. I'll just go get a membership for, those big Hawaiian dudes, man. They got to have something down there, right? So we'd land and I go walking down in a strip mall.
Okay.
It's like a Subway, a laundromat, a Chinese restaurant, and the gym. And then, gold and like a pawn shop, it's just like in a strip.
Yeah. It's just tucked in the middle.
Yeah. And
and it used to be a restaurant, so it's this long, skinny thing. But dude, you would have loved it. I go, all right. So, and no sign. There was no sign at all.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't know it was there, you would have walked right by. But the only reason I saw it, because I was walking down the sidewalk looking for it, looking for a gym.
Yep.
I saw the squat racks in there. I'm like, oh shit, okay. I reached for the handle, and taped on the inside of the door was a piece of paper, just handwritten. It says, if you don't like to lift heavy things, don't bother coming in here. I was like, oh, yeah.
You're like, I'm moving to Maui.
I'm home, bro. I'm home. So I go in, and I think about this now. I'm like, they should have made the door like really heavy to open. But anyway, yeah. So I walk in, and there's just this little tiny kiosk. 3 people couldn't fit behind it. And the old dude was sitting there, and he's writing some stuff on a pad. Never even looked up at me. I was like, hey, man, I just here for a couple weeks. I was looking for a place to lift. Uh-huh. Mind if I look around? Yeah, look around. Oh, okay. I mean, standing there, you could see the whole gym.
Yeah.
It wasn't that big. But I started walking around. Dude, every bench had a duct tape phone book with it. None of the weights were marked with the weight. They were just rusty. Nothing was in racks. Everything was just fucking laying everywhere. Everything was rusty. The pads were all ripped up. I'm like, this
chaos.
This
Love
is
it.
amazing. This is amazing. So, and then one side was nothing but squat racks. There are probably 12 squat racks, dude, along one wall.
That's awesome.
And just incredible amount of weights. And they had 100-pound discs and everything,
Really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was big. And the equipment, if you didn't know what you were doing, there was none with, like now with gyms, there's like the little instruction stickers and all that.
Yeah, but
there's none of that shit in there.
Nah.
But I'm like, this is great, and so I walk back up. I go, hey, one thing though, I didn't see any cardio equipment. Never even looked up, dude. He goes, I could probably scrounge up a jump rope if you want. I'm like, this is great. I go, how much for 2 weeks? Like, still never looked at me. He goes, $75. And I go, deal.
Yeah.
I get out a $100 bill, and he goes, you want change? Nope. Dude, he never even looked at me, never took my name, nothing.
Oh.
And I was like, well, okay. All right, yeah, whatever. And so for the first week, I would go first thing in the morning and lift heavy.
Yeah.
Heavy. I was doing dips in the dip bar with 3 and 4 plates on the belt.
Nice.
Right? So
Yeah.
I mean, that's the level I was at that time.
Yeah, that's it.
And at the end of the first week, I'm taking a shower, and I'm like, holy shit. What the fuck? God, I am just swole. And I get out, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm like, God, what the? And my ex-wife's like, I don't like you that big. And long story short,
ooh, bad.
in my mind, I'm like, I'm heading to the gym. But that's a whole other. So I sat there and I thought about it, because we sat around a lot, you're just hanging out. And I was like, okay, so I go to the gym. We go eat a big breakfast. Big breakfast. Okay. Then we don't really do anything. We eat this humongous lunch. We might go swimming, some snorkeling in the afternoon. Then we have some ice cream. And then we have this huge, huge dinner. And then we sit around. And then I go lift again in the morning, and we repeat. And I go,
and you get huge.
Ding! Calories.
Yeah, you're like eating a ton, lifting super heavy, and then just resting the rest of the day. It's like, that's like the perfect equation to get huge.
Yep. And what I was doing, if I could lift three sets of 8, I would add weight.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So give you an idea of the amount of weight, because some of those exercises, man, you can rip out 8 reps without even.
Yeah. Blinking an eye with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then I was in Colorado at the time where I lived. I was like, oh man, I get back and I shrunk down a little bit because of calories, right? Because I was eating nowhere near as much as. And I said, man, I wonder if that was a fluke. Like if that was like, what happens if I try to redo that?
Yeah.
And I kind of set up some meals and did all that. Same results, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
awesome. It's awesome. Well, once you understand how things like in general works, like there's obviously everyone can like become an expert and take it to like, these like intricate, like extra percentages of like gain stuff. But once you understand like a basic amount of information, it's like, you know what, A plus B 90% of the time is going to give you C. So,
yep.
Yeah.
I mean, don't overcomplicate it.
No, you don't have to. Like, are you competing? Are you a professional at something? Are you competing? Complicate it. Get an expert involved. Go all the way. Right. Are you doing this for yourself, for mental, for physical, for whatever reason it is, like personally, internally?
Just don't
complicate it. Do the you want the most benefit to the least amount of time investment. So get wherever you need to get on that bell curve and just stay.
That's a good way to look at it. Right.
Yeah, and you start pushing it, or you start doing something that you might not like as much, or you start eating away, or things that you don't like to what? Get an extra like 2 or 3% gains over a decade or something. And it's like if you're a professional, that matters. Right. That's potentially millions of dollars. In what sport you're in, it depends. Yeah, but if it's just guys like you and me just trying to like enjoy themselves, I'd rather enjoy the process more and not get a couple percentages further than to have a terrible time.
And that's something popped up in my mind that what you just said about investments, right, in sports. Mm-hmm. When I was out in Colorado, Bill Romanowski was playing for the Broncos.
Okay, yep.
And it was this huge story that he got that I know you're going to know the name of this fucking thing. God, I just had it in my mind. Where he gets in the tube and it like compresses the air, or like
barometric chamber.
Yeah, thank you.
There we go.
And they were talking like it's tens of thousands of dollars and this, that, and the other, and they're like, oh, it must be nice to have that expendable or disposable income. And I go, whoa. I go, that's not disposable income. I go, that's an investment. And like, and people are like, oh, that's bullshit. And I go, well, wait a minute. Let's just, I'll dumb it down a little bit for you, right? So that barometric chamber, just to make the math easy, costs 10 grand. Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. He's in it 3-4 times a week for an hour. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now he's got 5 hours a week invested plus 10 grand. Now, when his contract comes around, the benefits of that barometric chamber and the time he spends in it just added $5 million to his contract. And they're like, no, it doesn't. I go, all right, I'm done talking to you.
Yeah.
I can't tell you any more than that, dude. I go, that's not disposable income. He's doing it for the ROI.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Well, everyone always talks about how like, LeBron James spends an insane amount of money on his body. And I'm like,
for him.
like, oh, okay. And your point is, they're like, he spends millions of dollars like on his body. And I'm like, yeah. Like, are you making a point? Like, is that, are you just objectively saying, like, what's your point here? Like, of course he does. Like,
the reason you're saying that is because you can't comprehend spending that much money on something that's not important to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The ROI for a basketball for that dude is billions of dollars.
It's huge.
The ROI for a basketball for me is zero. Right? So he knows that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And also, people don't realize they always say, oh, must be nice to have that stuff. Must be nice to have access to these things. You don't understand that the more of these things that you add into your life when you're a high tier athlete, the more your life becomes confined, the less free time you have, the more you're constricted by schedule. So by adding in the barometric chamber, that's in the example you just gave, that's 5 hours of his time taken away per week. That's one thing. What if he adds in another thing, and that's another 5 hours? Then he adds in his regular training. Then he factors in needing to sleep. Then he factors in all of the time eating. And it's like, he's confining his life. Like, oh, it must be nice to have access to that. I'm like, it kind of, but in the same sense, you're living in a hell the more you add in these things, because you're forcing yourselves to do more and more.
Yeah, and by the way, that's not 5 hours. That's like 8 hours, because he's got to prep to get in it. And he's got
no shit. Yeah.
I mean, and what's the old saying? Oh God, that was a long time ago when Demi Moore was doing G.I. Jane.
Oh,
that?
okay. I don't know if I know that.
Yeah, she did G.I. Jane. She just got fucking incredibly ripped. It was just crazy, right?
Yeah.
And somebody's like, yeah, she's probably paying somebody to walk around and knock cookies out of her hand. I go, yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? Yeah.
So if you're not in it, dude, it's the pink lane, dude. We're just going to keep going back to the pink lane, dude. You're not in it. You're an armchair quarterback. Right? And I'm guilty of that too. Sure, I see something and be like, that ain't nothing. Oh, wait a minute. Think about that for a second.
And then you get humbled. Yeah.
And going back to, so I got a neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
I love this old dude, man, Peter. And I don't know how old he is, but he's an older dude. Mm-hmm. You know, he's up there in age. And he sees me. He's like, looking good, man. And one day he was coming back he goes to a gym.
Okay.
Right? He was coming back from the gym, and so was I. And he goes, what'd you do today? I said, deadlifts and overhead presses. And he goes, what'd you do that for? And I go, they're functional lifts, and that's kind of what we're built to do, bud.
Yeah.
We're built to pick things up and carry them and walk around. And he goes, my instructor, and I go, wait a minute, what instructor is this? He goes, well, HIIT instructor, high intensity, right?
Yep.
I said, okay, all right. First of all, Peter, I think it's amazing that at your age you're going to the gym and getting a workout in. I think that's fucking phenomenal, dude.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Hats off to you.
Credit where credit's due.
Yeah, absolutely. And I go, so what does HIIT guy say? That we don't need to do these kinds of lifts anymore because of our lifestyle. We need to do more high intensity because, we sit at a computer, sit in our car and do that kind of thing. And I go, same thing. I go, Peter, I think it's great that you go to the gym, dude, but you're not going to take 500,000 years or however long.
Yeah, however long we've been around.
Yeah, whatever you believe in, however long we've been around, you're not going to take that out of our DNA in 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, maybe that HIIT's been around. I don't know how long it's been around. And I'm not busting on it. I just think it's great that they offer that to people that can go out like Peter and get some exercise and move around. I think it's a fucking amazing thing. Yeah. But I'm like, whoa, dude, you gotta remember that that's what we're built to do. We're not built to sit in a car. We're not built.
And things just get sensationalized. So, like, is there anything wrong with, like, HIIT? Like, no, it's just a form of, like, getting your heart rate elevated, which, like, you should get your heart rate up into higher, like, zones of, like, your heart rate threshold, but it gets sensationalized. And so then everyone gets, like, super dogmatic about it. And they're like, HIIT training is the only way to train, and it's the best way of training, and it's superior to everything else. And it's like, no, everything's pretty, like, gray area and situational. It's like, acting like one thing is the only thing that can work is, you get really, like, myopic with it. And then people, like, put all of their being behind it, and they say, oh, I'm a HIIT guy. I'm a high intensity, like, they attach their persona to this way of training. And it's like, no, you got to look at it grand scheme of things. Like, everyone feels that way about how they train. Every yogi thinks that yoga is the best thing for you. Every power lifter thinks deadlifting's the best thing for you. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone has biases, but, like, just recognizing that and being like, okay, like, everyone's kind of doing their own thing. There's different benefits to different things, but there's not one thing that's king. Nobody can say that.
Nope. And you gotta, like you said, give credit where credit's due.
Totally.
You're in here whooping ass,
Yeah. You're getting a workout in. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I just hate seeing people get, like, misled. You know what I mean? Like they'll be told HIIT is going to do this, or this style of training is going to do that. Or, like, I get really upset when you see people starting weight loss journeys, and they might be, like, significantly, like, overweight or into, like, obesity range and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And these trainers are doing HIIT workouts with them where they're having them jump. And I'm like, okay, you're taking someone who's been completely deconditioned. They have minimal amounts of muscle mass. They're clinically obese, and you're going to have them start jumping. Like you should be in trouble for malpractice. Like, that should not be a trainer that exists.
Hey. I'm clinically obese.
Oh my God, I know BMI is all it's terrible. I do it all the time. I know we're outliers though.
I know.
Outliers.
The reason I had to throw that at you is because my work, my day job.
Yeah.
If you're obese and smoke, they charge you on your insurance.
Oh, for healthcare. Okay.
You pay more.
Yeah.
Like you physically have to, they deduct, like it's an actual payment.
Jeez. Yeah.
And so I either have to have a doctor write off on mine. They have a form, right?
Yeah.
The doctor signs off on it, or the big boss man of the region signs off on it. So I had to fill that out today, and I was looking at it, and I was like morbidly obese.
It sucks. I know. It's like, but it's all based off of BMI. It's just height and weight.
Yeah.
And that's like for the reason we use it is because like for like huge numbers, when you're looking like population wise, it's like the best thing we have, but it's incredibly like imperfect. Like it's far from being great, but you're always getting you're getting outliers on both ends.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? Like but the idea of tracking like fat-free mass of everyone, it's such a more rigorous process. It's way hard. You can't do it on that large of a population scale. So BMI is the easiest way to do it, but you already live an outlier life. What's one more thing? You can take a punch. Yeah, you can take a punch.
It's just funny because I was dealing with it today, and you brought that up. But yeah, with these like your HIIT instructor, with the weight loss thing, dude, that's capitalism, bro.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, they're just trying to make money. Yeah, and they don't even know what they're doing. Half of these trainers just follow like pre-built programs where they're taught, oh, you do this with a client, and they don't know how to intuitively look at an individual and say, does this individual have prerequisites to be jumping? Do they have stability? Do they have like tendon knee strength? Do they have the joint capacity? Like, no, they're just plugging in everyone to the same exact program, and it's I'm disgusted by it.
Yeah, I see, and I saw a huge difference. Like you got your Planet Fitness, right? And hey, people go there, they're happy with it. Kudos, man, you're doing it, right? I'm not knocking it by any means. And then I was going to Retro Fitness because
I train a guy who goes to. I train two guys that go to Retro.
Retro,
yeah.
So the one that was close to my house, and it just logistically worked for me for a while. But that saying, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. In the gym, I was like, man, I'm kind of like not challenged, and I'm losing my
edge,
excitement to get in here and like really tear it up, like get after it. I was like, man, I got to start looking for something else. So I found another gym here because people are like, man, check this gym out. And I went to a handful of them. You bounce around.
Yeah.
Dude, the one I'm in now, I mean, I'll give a shout out to it because it's Signature Fitness in Belleville, New Jersey. Okay. This fucking place, dude.
It's good.
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's super clean. And we hit it on a little bit in our pre-call.
Yep.
But they got some super old school equipment.
Oh yeah, you're saying they got like the old Nautilus machines and stuff?
Dude, they got instead of cables, because everybody knows cable machines, right?
Yeah.
Instead of cables, it's chains and gears. And I'm like, what else would make you just feel like moving it when it's chains and gears, right?
Yeah.
And then they got a section where it's got the Atlas balls and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And the locker room looks like a country club, and it's.
You ever do Atlas stones?
Yeah, I did. When they first opened this section up, they're like, "Hey, man, everybody come in and check this out. It's like $120 a month extra." I'm like, "Ain't fucking worth it."
Yeah, it's a bit. Yeah,
but I did them, and I was like, "This is fucking cool, dude."
Oh yeah, they're awesome. I've heard arguments of maybe it was like 2 or 3 years ago at like a strength clinic out in Ohio. There was a guest speaker who came in and made a really good argument for training kids with Atlas stones before getting them into Olympic lifting movements for sport. So because things like the Olympic, like clean and the snatch, like clean and jerk, all those movements are such like highly technical, like barbell lifts that, like it's a sport of its own. He was making the argument that instead of using that for athletic speed strength development, like power development, using these Atlas stones instead because they train triple extension in a similar way. Yeah, it's grip limited a little bit differently, but it was a really good discussion, and like undoubtedly you're going to get some athletes with some like freaky posterior chains, like their spinal erectors are going to look like lead pipes going up their back. So that's never going to be a bad thing.
I was just going to say that'll benefit you through life, man. That's not
totally. Yeah, it's an awesome lift. You got to get down. You got to squat deep. You got to brace hard, and you got to have a not just a strong spine, but you need a mobile spine. You're not in this like perfect neutral spine position when you're doing it. You're corked wrapped over that ball.
Oh, dude, it was. I can't remember because they're pretty new, and they were just spray painted the weight on it. But I got down about halfway down the line, and I'm like, I'm good, man, because my back, I'm not.
Yeah. You build up to it. You know what I mean? Like if you're just like fucking around with it like day one or something like that and just going for it, you never want to max out on a new movement the first day that you do it. Well, it's a terrible idea.
No, yeah, exactly.
Such a bad idea.
Well, the only reason I was going heavy is for my Instagram picture, but
so you're one of these guys.
Oh, dude, I gotta tell you, man, the new gym. Dude,
God forbid I walk in front of your camera while you're deadlifting, Walt. My bad.
Oh, dude, I see so much of that, bro. That's probably the only downfall that I see in the gym I go to. Yeah. It looks like a movie set.
Yeah,
it's crazy, and I'm like, good. Hey, you're doing whatever you're doing. But man, have some courtesy for the other people.
Exactly. Yeah. If you can do it respectfully, like go ahead. Hey, like we said on our pre-call, if I could be making money training and just doing that and stuff, like I'd probably be talking about it a lot differently than I am now. But you still want to be courteous. Like there's other people there. There's other people trying to train. Like it's not your gym. It's not your gym.
And most people do, but there's a couple of them, man. And then they'll bring. Especially the women that are working out, the guys will, they'll bring a guy friend or whoever he may be to them. I don't know. And they got like serious camera equipment. They're not using a phone.
Really?
Yeah. And they're doing like video shoots around them, like walking around the equipment. And it's like, and they give you dirty looks if you get anywhere near them. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, that's. I hope the gym's making money off of them. I hope the gym's charging them extra to do shit there.
You would think, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's like, if you're going to do that shit, do that at like 2:00 in the morning.
Find a time.
Yeah, they're open 24/7. So it's like,
find a time. Do it. Hey, I mean, I'm trying to recently, past few months, build up like social media and stuff like that, but I don't record at the gym. And I struggle to even like record any training, because my training isn't necessarily reflective of what anyone else should be doing. Right. You know what I mean? Like when people ask like, oh, exactly how many sets and reps and weight and what and it's like, you're asking way too specific questions for general feedback with it. Yep. And secondly, the quality of your workout tanks the second you try and record stuff. Like I've tried to record like some like training set, like I do a lot of like hamstring protocol stuff because I've had hamstring injuries in the past. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, oh, I do these like 20-minute rehab hamstring sessions a couple days a week. Like I'll just record one in my head. 20 minutes easily turned into 90 minutes. And it was the shittiest workout I've ever had. I was going cold constantly. I got zero work in with it. And I'm like, hey, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'd rather talk about it than to try and film it and get a terrible workout in myself and be annoying to other people around me with it.
Maybe on something like that where you get a killer workout in on the way in or on the way out, you're doing like a little video of yourself. Hey, man, I just hit this hamstring.
Yeah.
This is what I did, kind of describe it. And what I do, I don't take pictures of myself in the gym. What I do is I take pictures I like to be a little artsy with it. Yeah. Like I'll get different angles and stuff with the equipment and I make them black and white pictures and I put my logo on it and be like,
oh, hey. Yeah, I've actually seen. Yeah. I follow you on Instagram now, so I see them popping up. Yeah.
So it's just like, no, I just do that, and if that, I like posting it, and if it inspires somebody, hey, all the better. If it doesn't, that's fine too. I'm just doing my thing. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't want to freaking get into that.
I get mixed with it. You know what I mean? Because on one end, hey, like they're training and maybe they're like inspiring other people to train and maybe they're doing well. But then I'll dig into it, and I shouldn't dig into it. I should just, I should be ignorant, but I dig in, and I'm like,
let it go, bro. Let it go.
I wonder what this guy's selling. I wonder what he's doing. And you look at their like, cookie cutter programs online and like the bullshit supplements that they're peddling and giving discount codes for. And I'm like, you know what? I take everything back. You're a terrible person.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I tried to give the person benefit of the doubt, but the second you look into it, you're like, you're a terrible person.
But the thing is, it's going back to what we're talking about right at the beginning. The reason so many people are doing this and they're hawking that shit is because people are looking for a shortcut.
Oh, yeah, 100%. There's no pill, though. But that's like the classic, everyone just wants the pill. Yeah. They're like, yeah, if I take 10 fat burner pills and almost give myself a heart attack, will I lose weight? And it's like stop. Just stop.
Or drink this stuff and I shit myself for 2 days.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing? But you know in general. Everyone knows in general. If you want to lose weight, it's like step one to losing weight, there's caloric intake and there's caloric expenditure. There's a lot of other factors on top of that. There's like socioeconomical stuff with eating. There's psychological. Like, I don't want to downplay that. But baseline, you're looking at calories in, calories out. So you can either decrease the amount that you're eating or you can increase the amount that you're burning. Yeah. That's just baseline. And I'm not saying that there's not other influencing factors, but that is your bread and butter of the situation. And people don't want to believe it. They want to think, no, I can drink sand water and I'm magically gonna like lose weight. And I'm like, don't do this to yourself. No, you know the basics. Don't do this to yourself.
They just don't. It just the work. Like there's days in the morning. Dude, do I really want to get up and go? My wife's cuddled up with me, and I'm like, oh, this is nice.
It's 45 degrees outside.
And it's like, okay. And then you got that thing running in your mind, right? So you're laying in bed. You just hit the snooze button. Mm-hmm. And now you're staring up in the ceiling, and you're running that film in your head. Okay, I'm going to get up, walk down the hallway. I got my gear set up, but I got to, got to get dressed, open the front door, walk down the hallway, get in my car, and like you're going through your mind what it's going to be. And I get to the gym, fuck, then it's the walk. That's usually got to park quite a ways, and I got to get to the front door, and it's like, what am I doing? Just get up and get started.
Just go. Yeah, I think the best advice for sticking to a habit is just to never break it. And I know that's like a shit kind of like recommendation in some ways, but if you never give yourself any room to fail, then it's never an option. Well, so I'm a big the second my alarm goes off, I sit up in bed.
Oh
yeah, I know, and it's like my girlfriend sets like 10 alarms spaced 1 minute apart and just constantly hits them all. But like the second my alarm goes off, I immediately I might stay in bed and check my phone for a second, but I immediately sit upright. Just because that's like, I'm not going to lay back down once I'm sitting upright. I'm not going to, I won't go backwards. So if my first move in the morning is to go forwards, I'm not going to backtrack.
Oh, dude, you are so much more disciplined than I am. I love hitting snooze.
No, I can't do it. But because you give yourself the ability to do it, so it becomes ever more attractive every time. But if you didn't have the option, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean,
that's, get up.
I don't.
It's like, people will set their alarms on like the other side of the room.
Right.
That's a tactic, so they have to get up to turn it off and stuff. Like,
yeah, I mean that's a good hack. That's
yeah. Or you could just do it.
What's the saying there? If you don't quit, you won't fail.
Exactly. Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's practically what I just said. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what.
No doubt.
Fucking. Eat what, and then it's what I like to say. It's simple. It's not easy.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
very fair. Yeah, and people like to complicate it. And the second you complicate it, you just start adding barriers.
Yep.
Especially with like general population people that like might not have a ton of like training knowledge or experience and stuff. Like you just want to minimize barriers to fitness. However they define fitness. I know that's like a vague term that can be like misconstrued, but you just want to like remove barriers to improving their health. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I read an article, guy was like 600 and something pounds.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing he could do to start was for 45 minutes twice a day, he would just rotate his arms.
Good for him.
And then he could move his legs up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And then he finally could get out of bed, you know, and of course it took some time.
Yeah.
Stuck to it. And, you know, and he, last time I saw you was like 310 or something
That's
like
awesome. That's like half.
yeah. I mean, it's like, holy cow, you just got rid of 2 humans.
No kidding.
Right, on average, right?
Yeah.
I got a question for you, man.
Hit me.
You ever read or listen to, because I'm an Audible guy.
I do a lot of audiobooks too.
I drive a lot. So What Doesn't Kill You?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought you would, dude. Because
wait, that's what's his name?
Wim Hof.
No, that's not the guy it's about Wim Hof. But I'm trying to think. I actually, ironically, I listened to that on Audible.
So did I.
Yeah. It's Scott Carney.
Scott Carney.
Great book. You know, I really like that book because he was a skeptic going into it.
Yeah.
And that like that connected with me because I'm incredibly like hesitant and skeptical. Like I want everything to be like, you know, how it's marketed. Like I'm excited by it, but I'm like, that makes me skeptical of it because I check the fact that like, oh, I want this to be real. So I you know, overcompensate by being like really skeptical about it. And that's why, you know, Scott writing that book, it was great. Great book.
Years and years and years ago, I saw that in Men's Health.
Okay.
Right. And I've always loved the cold, dude. Just, I'm a cold weather dude. I just enjoy the cold. But he's like talking about cold showers. And I was like, dude, I usually take a cold shower.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's like, nothing. And he goes, don't be a bitch, basically, and get in where it's warm and like turn it down. No, it's cold to start. And you get in there and you're,
oh, yeah. That first breath of.
Dude, I can't even tell you how good that feels, man. Do you do that?
Yeah. I have an in-ground pool out back. And it's during the middle of the winter right now. And what I'll do is I go out there and I pop off the corner of the cover. And I set a timer and I go in up to my neck. I have someone out there with me because I'm terrified of blacking out in the water. But I drop down to my neck and I do that. And I actually, you know, go through like that like 2 mode kind of breathing while I'm in there. And I try and do that. I am for, what is it? I do like 10 to 15 minutes per week cumulative is what I aim for when I'm like focusing on it. Yeah.
Dude, so you don't submerge, you don't go under?
No, I don't put my head under.
Why not? Is there a reason for that?
No. I'm
just
so God, I'm like, of all follow-up questions for you to ask, the one that makes me seem the most like a bitch about it. You're like, oh, what's the science reason? You know, you seem like a science-based guy. Like, what's the reason behind not doing this? And I'm like, oh, gee.
You're just being a bitch about it. That's
cool. A little bit.
I ain't mad at you. I'm not judging. A little bit.
You know, if I'm doing an ice bath in a tub, typically the last like 30 seconds of it or whatever, I'll take a deep breath and I'll drop fully under it and I'll do like the last chunk of time under. But for whatever reason, when I do it out there in the pool, I just like, I don't go under.
You ever do one of those polar bear plunges?
I've not. I've seen them, but I've never done one.
Yeah. I always think to myself, I'm not going to track one down for some reason. It just doesn't interest me that much. Mm-hmm. But if we happen to be somewhere and they're like, tomorrow we're doing this polar bear plunge, I'm like, baby, we're going.
Yeah, 100%.
I would love to do one.
My favorite part of it is when you get out after doing like that really, really cold water and your skin feels like it's 1,000 degrees. And it's like, it feels like you're burning hot almost because it's so cold. That's my favorite feeling.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
But I saw that on your YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah, I do that. Yeah.
And then too, like the holding your breath. What's the deal with that?
Oh yeah, so I got into, you know, I'm obsessed by like training for like physical adaptations, and so it doesn't matter whether it's like strength, hypertrophy, or like any weird skill. I'm super fascinated by like training the body. Any stimulus that's going to give you a result, I just think it's cool. and everything like carries over. So like the same principles that we use for strength training, you can train your lungs the same exact way. You can train the muscles in your throat.
Oh, sure, of course.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like it's an exciting experiment for me to like cross apply these things that I've learned in strength and conditioning and put it towards something else. And so I trained up my breath hold, and I was really getting after it. I did like a month straight where I was training my breath like almost every single day, and I like wrote up a whole training protocol for it, and yeah, it was pretty cool. It was, and I still do it. I do like this morning. I wake up and I'll typically do some sort of like 15-20 minute breath hold training, and this morning I did 20 minutes of just one breath a minute. So okay. I take one breath every minute, and it's just for 20 minutes while I'm like getting ready in the morning.
One thing, because I'll hold my breath in the cold shower.
Yeah,
just to practice holding.
Yeah, it's easier. You can hold your breath longer in the cold.
Yep.
Yeah.
From that book, I learned that your body panics not because you're running out of oxygen, is because of CO2 that you have in your body.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I thought that was really cool.
Totally. When you train your breath holds, so when you get into it and you're actually like training up your breath holds, you actually train them differently. So you train your body's tolerance to low levels of oxygen, and you also can train your body's tolerance to high levels of carbon dioxide. And so they're actually like two different ways that you train to do it. So like if you did a breath hold and you failed because of low oxygen, you would focus more on oxygen training tables. Okay. Whereas if you failed due to like that like itchy hot panic of like needing to breathe and stuff, like typically you'll train like carbon dioxide tables.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. You know, just like if you're lifting and you like say you're lifting like you're benching. You would train your accessory movements different if you failed off the chest versus if you failed to lock out at the end.
Sure.
And it's the same idea here. Like you assess your max effort, and depending on where you fail, you just target your training more towards the weakness.
And it's cool to break those things down. Like honestly, I never was been interested in that, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Most people probably are.
Right. But listening to you, it's fascinating that you break it down like you do. But that's in everything. If you take anything that you're interested in, break it down and train it a certain way, or to accomplish it, the whole how do you eat an elephant, right?
Yeah.
Same type of thing.
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time. But what got me on that, he goes, so just let out a little bit of breath. Like if you're holding your breath and you start to panic, just let out a little bit. Yep. And in my mind, I was like, what? Why would you do that?
Well, it works. Yeah. Big time.
And then he explains it, and I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh. And of course I tried it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah. And but that is just a phenomenal book, dude. Can you imagine?
It's great. It's great. I love it. I recommend it to like anyone. You know, it's a guy Scott was probably in his like 30s. He was a journalist while he was writing it, and he was just looking for like something more like exciting in his training, and he just found this like crazy world of like fanatic people. You know, it's the same thing you kind of mentioned with the gym before when you were going to that retro fitness, and so much of like your training and everything is culture and the people you're surrounded around, and like you felt like you weren't being pushed in that environment, and so you found an environment with a culture where you felt like you wanted to like push yourself and lift some heavy shit. And it's kind of like the same thing that Scott went through in the book, where he was a little lost direction with his training, and he ended up finding this group of people that were doing this like abstract, like crazy, they were doing like those like endurance events, and they're doing these cold plunges, and it's like you just find a culture of people that are pushing themselves in a way that you attach to.
Yeah, but you just explained a church or a
yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Have you read or listened to Born to Run?
No. Is that the Prefontaine book?
I don't know.
All right. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
What's that guy's name from Born to Run, baby? Chris McDougall.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have not read it, but yeah.
Dude, I think you'll really like that.
Yeah.
There's a section kind of in the middle
Mhm.
that he goes deep into evolution of the human body.
Yeah. Love
And
that. Yeah.
oh, dude, that's why I'm bringing it up because
Yeah, I'm obsessed with it.
yeah. One thing, I'll give you a little spoiler thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually more of a teaser. There's a bone. It's like according to him,
Mhm.
I never looked it up. I'm going by what he said.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's like a sliver, almost like a toothpick, like a big toothpick of a bone somewhere in the back of our skull.
Okay.
Okay. And what that allows us to do is keep our head straight when we're running.
Really?
Yeah. See, I saw your face, dude.
Yeah, that's cool.
So he goes,
I didn't recognize. I'm trying to think. I'm going through like all of like my like anatomy in my head, and I can't.
and like he goes, the example that he gives of a mammal that doesn't have it
Okay. Yeah.
is a pig.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Watch a pig run. His head's
Way more like vestibular sway and stuff like that. Yeah.
Dogs, horses, obviously cheetahs and lions.
Yeah.
But other than a horse, what he was getting to was predatorial mammals have it. So our eyes are close together.
Mm-hmm.
We got canine teeth.
Yeah.
We're predators, man.
Everyone forgets that, like, humans are mammals. Like we're animals, and I know everyone likes to think of ourselves as like different, but like we're just evolutionary creatures, like same as anyone else. We're animals. We the same laws of nature apply to us, but everyone, they remove us into like a separate box, and I think that loses some of the magic of what like the animal kingdom really is. It's like, you separate yourself from it and you're like, no, we're different. We're unrelated. And it's not really the case. So many things in our evolution, we can draw, similarities to other species and stuff, but everyone like gets all weird about it and stuff.
Yeah. And they're like, no, we're higher than that. No,
yeah, no, we're different. Like we're above that. And I'm like, you're an animal. We're animals. Like,
I love that. I love that kind of. So what he was talking about too was really we're pretty soft. In the animal kingdom, we're pretty weak.
Yeah.
We don't have hooves and horns and claws and that kind of thing. And according to him,
mm-hmm.
our ability to run and to be able to throw something has brought us to help bring us. And he brings it all together. And it's like 45, 50 minutes of him talking about, oh, dude.
Yeah.
I would listen to this book again just to listen to that part.
Born to Run. Yeah, I'll check it out. I know evolutionary, or as far as my understanding, evolutionary, we were like persistence hunters. And so that like we always we captured prey often by like running them down over long periods of time. And so because a lot of animals have to like the way they don't sweat the same way that we do, they have to like breathe off a lot of their heat and stuff. And so like they'll end up not having as much like aerobic ability as we do. So we would just kind of like run down animals for like miles and miles and miles until they collapsed. And then that's how we got them. Yeah.
Two things on that.
Yeah.
You hit one, we overheat. We don't, eventually we overheat, but we're able to sweat to keep cool.
Yes.
Most animals, all animals, I think, can't do that.
It breathe. Yeah. It's exhaling. Yeah.
Now go back to the breathing part.
Yeah.
Where they start to overheat is because their stride and their breathing almost matches. Us as humans, our stride and our breathing doesn't have to match when we're at any type of speed.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So now we can do the distance thing. Like we can breathe really fast and heavy to keep us oxygenated at a different pace than our pace is.
Yeah. Yeah.
To where like a rabbit, and again, this is going out of the book, a rabbit, the way its hind legs work, it actually pumps the same.
Like the diaphragm and stuff. So while they're.
Yep, exactly.
Fascinating. That's very cool.
See, dude, that stuff.
That's very cool.
Super fascinating to me because it's like watching, especially now, watching my son, he's in a week, he'll be a year old.
Okay. Yeah.
And just watching him develop and now what he's doing in a year and, and like, his mobility and his little pincer grasp and
cool.
and it's like dude, the human body is incredible.
Awesome.
It is just
Awesome.
what it adapts to. And like, and me personally, with my back injury and having fake pieces, you know, people all over the world have fake pieces in them. Their body adapts to it, and you're living a life. It's like, holy
totally.
shit. You know, 25 years ago, I would have been walking around with a cane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, undoubtedly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, oh, dude, you got to.
That's why I'm obsessed with the ability of the human body to adapt, and that's what it all comes. That's why I'm doing breath holds. That's why I do strength training. That's why I rock climb. That's why I did the decathlon and track and field. It's the ability of the body to adapt. And so whether you're having artificial things put into your body as the result of an injury, your body adapts to it. Whether you're applying specific stimulus through a form of training, your body adapts to it. And I just think that adaptation itself is such a cool thing. We talked about sweating just before. The sauna trains your ability to retain electrolytes during sweat, increases the onset of when you start sweating. So you start cooling yourself off faster because your body's more efficient at it. You can literally train yourself to be better at sweating. So like, if you can train yourself to be a better sweater, what can't you train? That's such an abstract thing to say. Like, oh, I'm training my sweat glands, and you're like, get the fuck out of here. Like, what are you talking about? But I mean, that's one of the things you're doing by popping in the sauna. You're training your sweat glands.
100%.
Yeah, and it's cool. I don't know, it's cool.
And the thing is you take a cold shower, you work out, you get in a sauna. Me personally, in my life, I'm outside all day long. So in the summer, I'm out working on trucks, and then I jump in the cab of my truck, which is cold, and vice versa. In the winter, I'm outside in the cold, and then I jump in the cab of my truck, and it's hot.
Yep.
I just think there's a benefit at the variety that you put your body through. You don't have to go extremes and climb Mount Everest and swim the English Channel and all that, whatever, right? But these little things that you put your body through, not to test it, but to be like, that's what body is for.
Be,
it's like,
be uncomfortable. Nobody should be comfortable. I've always, obviously, when you look at like psychologically, like happiness, sadness, like highs and lows and stuff like that, you can't have one without the other. There, the yin yang whole thing like that. Like you can't experience highs without lows. So the way that I look at it is, I want my lows, like the lower points, to be self-induced. So I want to like mentally and physically cripple myself with a training session so that I can experience being outside. And so instead of just trying to live life comfortable and letting everything else kind of like form around it, I like to kind of proactively think about it as like burying myself, self-inflicting the lows upon myself, so that when when I'm experiencing the rest of my life outside of like training or outside of the gym, like it's that much more like appreciated and enjoyable.
That's a great way to looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen, and everyone has happiness and depression. It's a balance for everyone with it. So if you can manage it by self-inflicting it yourself, I don't know, it gives you a sense of control. Maybe, I don't know. I'm pretty neurotic, so.
No, but I mean, if you read about, I guess, self-help, or you read about these things, or you do your research, they are, these people talk about is doing that, putting yourself so uncomfortable that when life does bring you something uncomfortable, you're like, oh, whatever, dude. Next.
Yeah. It's not as bad as the last 5 minutes in a sauna.
Oh,
few things are.
Hey, and speaking of adaptation, I saw something on your YouTube.
Okay, yeah.
About not doing overhead presses.
Oh, yeah. So, I experimented with clickbaiting on that.
I was just, damn it, dude, you beat me to it. I was like, is that clickbait?
Yeah. So a big thing, and I kind of mentioned it when we talked about high intensity interval training with like jumping for people that are like overweight and stuff. I'm a big fan of taking an individual and looking at like prerequisites for motion. And so I would say a prerequisite for jumping is like that, like knee strength stability, being at a weight where like you can like connective tissue can handle it. A prerequisite for overhead pressing for me is active flexion of your arm overhead in the range that you would be pressing. And so if I can only raise my arm up this high,
you don't
actively, then I would only incline press to that angle. But the idea of, okay, so now I'm going to force this motion where I can't actively move my body there. I'm going to compensate. My body's going to conform to the lift. So I'm going to compensate to make the lift look pretty so I don't get made fun of on social media. I'm going to conform my body to the lift. You know what I mean? It's the same as like squatting deep. Some people think they need to squat a certain way, and so they force themselves to squat that way. And it's like, do you have internal and external rotation in your hip capsule to support that kind of squatting? Right. And they're like, well, no. So like, yeah, around my back and stuff, but like I need to be squatting to this depth to be squatting right. And it's like,
no, you don't.
No. Like the idea that there's like perfect, I don't know, and any patternized exercise, any exercise where like it's labeled with a name. If I say it to you, like I say a Romanian deadlift to you. In your head, you're immediately like, okay, I know what that is. I'm picturing it in my head. And it's like, okay, well, what if someone else doesn't have the amount of hamstring mobility as you do? For them to get to the same depth that you do, they might need to round their lower back. And maybe that's a good thing for what they're training, or maybe they're not trying to train rounded back Romanian deadlift. And so it's like, but everyone has this idea of how it should look into their head. And it's like they try and conform their body to make the lift look right so that they're accepted or not made fun of. And it's like, I don't know. I think there's prerequisites. So that was my whole thing with overhead pressing. I see so many people that have this crazy back tilt, and they're like, they're braced up to like the gills with it, and they're breaking their back so that they're still, if you arch your back enough, you're still able to like kind of press it, but they're not overhead. They're not sticking their head. They're like, That's my whole thing. And then at that point, it's like, I think you would be better off doing a high incline press than doing an overhead press.
Sure.
And train your don't ignore it. Train your overhead range of motion. Work on lat flexibility if you're really like muscle bound through the lat, or train the muscles on the back of your shoulder, like your lower traps, stuff that involve raising your arm overhead. Train that, get it better. But while you're doing that, train in the range that you can actually get into. Don't force it.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. I like that you admit that it was clickbait.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. I was trying. I'm new.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
You gotta see what works. But I do. I was like, I know there's an explanation behind this because talking to you before we're recording and all this. I know our pre-call and all that. I know what the hell you're talking about. Yeah. So I'm like, I got to talk this because I love an overhead press.
Oh, it's great. I think of it as a part of the core four. Bench, squat, deadlift, overhead.
Yeah, same here. So, freestanding, I just, and I like a fat bar when I do it.
Oh, dude, so much better. Even benching, I much prefer fat bars.
Every lift, if I can get a fat bar,
you ever use axle bars? Those real thick bars?
No.
Like an actual bar deadlift?
No.
It's like an inch and a half. I don't know the exact measurement, but roughly like an inch and a half thickness.
Oh, okay. No.
Yeah, it's awkward. Like you can't like wrap your full hand around it.
So the bar that I try to track down at my gym, I can't get all the way around it.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Same thing that we're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. And I love doing overhead presses with it, dude. I'll do what, 215, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll do it on back day. And a guy goes, what are you training today? I'm like, back. That's my favorite exercise, back, right? And he's like, what the hell are you doing overhead presses for? And I'm like, well, it's compression.
Yeah, a lot of stabilization.
Yeah, and
you think your shoulder blades in the back aren't pinched and everything. Like if your lats aren't active, if you're not squeezing your lats when you're overhead pressing, like you're missing out on a lot of stabilization in there.
100%. And to tell you the story on that, when I came out of my back surgery, my neurosurgeon was like, because at that time my physical therapist like, you're good, man. See ya.
Yep.
And my neurosurgeon goes, I know I can't keep you out of the gym. So the free weights, you can't do those, dude. I said, okay. Well, I was checking my ego. I'm like, dude, whatever you say, man, I'm going to
Yeah.
do. And he goes, I want you to do this type exercise for 2 weeks. Come back, see me. Okay. And I repeated that for 3 months. Every 2 weeks, I'd come back to him. He'd go, okay, do this one. Okay, do this one. Do this. Do this. Don't do this. He'd give me instructions. So he taught me about compressing the back, because the piece that they put me in my back, he goes, whatever you do, don't do anything but walk. Don't run. Don't jump. Don't do anything, because I cannot have you compress the spine on this piece, because the bone is growing. This piece has webbing in it, and I need the bone to grow inside all this webbing. So you can't compress it. I said, okay.
Yeah, I'm following. Yeah.
So he's telling me, do these, do this, do that, don't do this, right? And I said, okay. And then one time he goes, I need you to do jump roping. I need you to just jump up and down, whatever. And he goes, and overhead presses.
There you go.
And I was like, okay, well, how does that, I like to know this stuff.
Of course.
Right. And he goes, because when you lower it down, and he was showing me, telling me how to do it right. And same with you. This is what made me think of it, squeeze it in, bam, blow it up. He goes, and then set. He goes, when it's at the top, you set. He goes, and all that'll compress, because now all this bone is grown into the piece in my spine. He goes, I need you to smash all that together.
Yeah, you got to increase load tolerance of it too. Yeah, you got to build up the ability to tolerate weight.
And after that, I go, I just got so obsessed with overhead presses, man. It was, it's just fun, dude, and it's a functional lift.
Totally.
I mean, how often do you pick something up and put it over your head? Pick something up.
It's awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of people would do well thinking about like loading with spinal compression like that. And I know some people personally that do a good job of this, but trying to balance spinal compression with spinal decompression exercises to play around with like your spinal health that way. So I know a lot of guys that after like a heavy back squat day will do a higher rep, lighter intensity belt squat the next day. So, a back squat is loaded at the top of the spine. So it's axial loading. It's going to decompress the spine. Whereas a belt squat is loaded from the hips down at the bottom, and it will actively decompress the spine. And so the same thing, like if you overhead press, this is why some of these exercises go so well together. So overhead pressing, you're, compacting down, you're compressing the spine, and then doing pull-ups, once again, the exact opposite, but now you're decompressing from top down instead of bottom up. So it's really cool when you think about it like that. You can actually, like, some people track volume in terms of spinal loading, and so they modulate their training based off of how much spinal loading they have, and they add in or take out like compression or decompression exercises to toy around with stuff.
Yeah,
it's cool.
I mean, that's when you're getting into heavier lifts, and it's like, okay, I'm going to increase by 15 pounds. Right.
That's a lot of weight when you're lifting heavy. yeah, 15 is a big bump.
Yeah. And that's what, like Ronnie Coleman, imagine how much that dude put on his spine.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, poor Ronnie now. Yeah, I mean, it's but hey, he's got the craziest mindset. I heard him say once his only regret was that he didn't lift more weight.
Yep.
And so I'm like, you know what? He committed. That dude's got a mentality of steel. Obviously, no one with anything less than a mentality of steel could have handled the abuse that he put himself through. So
that's an iron. His mind has got to be an iron box, dude.
Talk about training stimulus and adaptations. His mind's got to be the freakiest thing.
It's got to be.
It's got to be crazy.
And then another guy I liked, even, I watched a bunch of stuff on him too, is Dorian Yates.
Oh, I love Dorian. Love
dude.
him. Yeah.
You wanted to, the dude's toes.
He was the first mass monster, really.
Yeah.
He was, and I know he like never really like showed himself, and he would just like show up at the shows. Yeah. And like he wouldn't like people wouldn't see him around. He wouldn't like guest pose or anything, and he would just show up looking terrifying.
Dude, that guy was
grainy. grainy looking dude. Like
his big toes had muscles on them, man. I was like, jeez, dude.
oh,
I watched a documentary with him, and
okay.
it was amazing. And he
with
talked
Dorian.
Yeah, I watched.
Do you know what it was called? I'd love to watch. Yeah.
I bet you could probably find it on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll search it up then. Yeah.
And what he's doing now, and he's like, dude, I'm all into yoga, and and he's a fit dude. I mean, he looks fit. He looks like you
Probably
and I.
downsized a lot though, right?
Oh, dude, like I said, he looks like you and I.
Yeah.
And then, but you look at some of them pictures back in the day, dude.
Incredible.
Dude. Yeah. Did you ever watch Strongest Men in History?
Yeah, that was
On the History
it was like
Channel?
Brian Shaw, Oberst.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. Yeah. It was like 3 or 4 of those guys, right?
The old dude, Nick.
Yeah. He's good. He still lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was him, Oberst, Shaw. Oh, and Eddie Hall. Eddie Hall was in there, right? Yeah.
Brian Shaw got me into World's Strongest Man.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always liked that dude.
I interned with a guy who competed with Shaw at one point on stage with grip challenges at like the Arnold Classic and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I interned with Andrew Derniat, who's one of like the top grip athletes. So he did strongman stuff, but he was primarily like a grip athlete. And dude would be half the size of these guys out there. Still a big dude, but not nearly like a 400-pound monster out there. Literally half the size of them. And those like Thomas Inch circus dumbbells, those big dumbbells. He can pick them up in both hands and do farmers walks with them. And yeah, he's a beast with it. But he was on stage with them. I got to talk a lot with him about the times where he would be out there with Mark Felix and stuff. He'd be out there. He competed with him and everything. And it was just like, it's wacky. Yeah.
Dude, how about Brian Shaw's just got to be a mountain.
How do you – I can't imagine seeing him in person.
He would,
like, what would that even be like?
Yeah, I can't even comprehend it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even, that'd be like somebody walking in here and go, here's $1 million cash. I'd be like, what?
You're like, what?
But what do you think of the True Mountain? What he looks like now, dude.
Oh, downsized like crazy. Woo! Yeah, he cut down a ton. It's wild. I mean, it's got to be great for like his it's got to be awful. How much he had to probably be eating to keep that up and stuff. This is probably got to be a huge relief to him. But he looks great. It looks great.
I think he looks better now than.
Agreed. Yeah. And it's definitely performance wise, like maximal strength, obviously he won't be able to do as much, but longevity wise, like he just, added years onto his life by dropping back down.
Oh, and decrease the injuries drastically.
Undoubtedly.
Right?
But he's looking good. Do
you think he'll ever compete in strongman?
Thor again? Yeah. So I know he in interviews he said stuff about like where he like wasn't ruling out ever going back. But I know he's got a young kid now, so I don't think so.
Yeah. See, I
don't think you go back to that once you have a kid.
No, I think that's.
You know what I mean? You hang on to it as long as you can, but if you leave, I don't mentally see you like. He's been at the elite level long enough to know that it's going to take years off of his life, and I don't think someone would be willing to take years off of their life when they have a kid.
Well, well, I can vouch.
You know what I mean? Like your risk aversion, I feel like probably goes through the roof. Like I'm not in that position, but I feel like the moment that you have a kid, it's like you have to tolerate risk a little bit differently.
I am in that position, and you are 100% correct. Yeah. I mean,
so I don't think he goes back. I'd love to see him compete, but I don't think he does.
Now the thing is, this whole boxing thing with, obviously it's
Eddie Hall. Yeah, they were going back. He fought. Why I'm blanking on his name. I love the dude, the arm wrestler. Thor fought him in place of Eddie Hall. Devin Larratt.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh my God, Devin Larratt's probably like the coolest guy. Like I try not to get you see some people on media and you like build them up and you're like, you idolize to an extent or something. And I really try not to do that because like it is just not a habit I want to start with. But he's a cool seaman dude.
Oh, no, that's cool. That's
cool. He's a Hulk of a guy. He's like one of the best arm wrestlers in the world. He's massive, and he fought Thor. He boxed him.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it was wild. Thor knocked him out.
Did he? I didn't know. I never.
It's terrifying. Imagine taking a punch from Thor.
Oh, when what he's looking like now, or when he was big?
No, what he's looking like now. What he's looking like now. Which still terrifying.
Did you see when Thor fought with the UFC guy, the little Scottish guy? Not little.
No.
Oh, God, what the fuck is his name?
A Scottish UFC guy.
Yeah, the most not most famous, but one of the famous guys. Got the. They all.
You're thinking Irish. You're thinking Conor McGregor.
Yes, I'm sorry, dude.
There we go. Okay, no, we're there. We got it. Right once you went this, I'm like, yeah, huge chest, man. It's got to be Conor.
When Thor was huge, when he was like in Game of Thrones and he was the mountain, right? Conor McGregor fought him and just kicked the shit out of him, right?
No, really?
Yeah.
I never saw that.
I would like to see that now.
Mm-hmm. Lighter weight, a little more mobile and stuff. See what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, got a little jab.
Well, I mean, those UFC guys are freaks. Some of them are.
That's what. Yeah, we won't even shit, dude. We'll get another 2 hours talking about them clowns.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, I think we met like one of my favorite. One of the things that I can always get myself amped up about if I'm ever like unmotivated, I'll watch like 3 minutes of a Mike Tyson highlight reel. And I feel like I can like run through walls. I'm like,
oh yeah, that dude, he still would be.
Oh yeah. He would kill me.
Oh yeah.
I'd be dead. Yeah. No doubt.
But man, dude, look at that, an hour and a half, bro.
Yeah. It's been nice talking.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of other shit, so we'll have to leave that for another time.
All right, sounds good, man.
We're gonna shut this down. I know it's been scrolling on YouTube.
Yeah.
People that are listening to this, like on Spotify and just Audible, let them know where they can find you because your Instagram handle. You got a good shout out.
You'll make me say it out loud. So on YouTube, my channel name is JR Fitness, capital J, capital R Fitness, and then on Instagram, I am at Big Hog Fitness. And yes, you heard that correct. It is at Big Hog Fitness.
Well, hey, dude, one more time for the guys in the back, dude.
Yep. That is at Big Hog Fitness.
That's awesome, dude. All right, man. We're going to shut this down. Thanks, bro.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Walt. I really appreciate it.
All right, dude. We'll talk at you.
All right. Sounds good.
Whew, man, did I tell you that dude is a lot of fun? He is very passionate of what he does. And again, he walks the walk. He just doesn't talk the talk. Everywhere you can get a hold of Jared is in the show notes. Check that out, and especially his YouTube channel. He puts out a lot of information there, and you can get a hold of him. I bet you he would love to talk to you. But I'm going to get you out of here because I know you got shit to do. But don't forget, Live Rishi. These guys make high-quality CBD product. Use the code word TABLE50, and it's going to let them know I sent you, and you're 50% off your entire order. Also, my website, waltzkitchentable.com. Would love for you to sign up for my lighthearted newsletter. Get a little sunshine in your inbox. All right, man. Remember, when I say have a great day, the motherfucker is silent. Till next time.